And welcome to the spring soccer edition of the Cardinals Nest. This is the show where we interview St. Mary's University student athletes and coaches and get a flavor for how their season is going. I'm Dean Beckman, the faculty athletics representative. My co-host, as always, is Donny Nadeau, our sports information director. And Donny, I kind of opened up the show a little differently this week by saying spring soccer season, because that's not something I get to say too often. So I wanted to take advantage of our pandemic-induced soccer season here.
Yeah, usually when we talk soccer, it's in the fall. And if we do talk soccer in the spring, it's about training for next year. But yet this year, here we are, a condensed schedule. But Corbin and Nick, welcome to the show. And I hope you're enjoying playing some soccer, because it really is fun to have you guys playing. We did miss that whole fall season, but Corbin, let's start with you. How has it been going?
It's been good so far. I think it's been nice to actually compete. We've talked a lot to our guys in the past few weeks about this is exactly what we wanted. You know, we've been begging, hoping, praying, whatever terminology you want to use for games. And we're finally here playing them. And it was about a little over 500 days between the last time we played and the next time we got to play. So there is some excitement there. Our results have been mixed, if you will, but I'm just more happy that we're able to compete and prepare for the fall.
And Nick, this is your first season with St. Mary's. Welcome back, by the way. I know we had you on in the fall, but it's great to have you back. 3 games into the season, how are you feeling right now?
Well, like I was joking with my fiance the other day, if like you would have told me that after playing Winona State, St. Thomas, Augsburg, and Concordia, we'd be 2-1-1. I would probably been pretty happy about that. But simultaneously, like I think it's been in the same way you take positive results with a grain of salt, you take negative results with a grain of salt. I think it's kind of a weird year with everyone. So same thing exactly with Corbin. I think results have been mixed, and we're just really excited to be back out there and compete. And you can just tell even the players yesterday, we gave them 2 days off in the row, and I saw 8 of them on the field just getting touches. They're just really anxious to be back and doing stuff and feeling normal again. Like we got to play without masks against Concordia the other day, and it was like I hadn't seen half of our players' faces, like from like the chin. Like sometimes they'll like pull out their mask a little bit and I see like this part, but like I've never seen like their full faces. So I got to see a lot of our players' chins for the first time ever this past weekend, which was pretty fun.
You know, Nick, related to that, obviously I teach some classes at St. Mary's, and most of the classes I teach are in person, and so we have to be in masks while we're teaching. The other day, I did see we had to do a special Zoom class for a specific reason, and I saw a face, and I had to ask someone, "Who are you?" because I literally did not recognize them without a mask. So no. I know what you're coming from there.
It was really funny, to be honest. Like I was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is what you actually look like." So it's hopefully again, as things keep progressing, I'll get to see more of their full faces as we get to the fall.
Yeah.
You know, Corbin, you've been in Nick's position as a first year head coach. Talk a little bit, or if it's give advice. You know, what's it like as the years progress? Now, you've been at this for a few years now. Has it gotten easier in terms of coaching, or has this year just made it another set of weirdness?
I think realistically, this year has been a big challenge for all of us, and that's a given. So we don't have to dwell on that too much. I think. In terms of year after year, I do think it gets easier, but there's always new challenges. There's always something new. And I think that's the exciting part is no 2 seasons are alike. No 2 falls, no 2 springs are alike. And so realistically, it should get easier aside from this year. But to be able to, I'm sure Nick will be able to continue to instill his culture and his style of play. And that's what I've been able to do with our guys. And that's where we continue to see success. And Nick's already had a taste of that with his women's program.
Nick, as you look at year one here, you know, granted you're only 4 games into a shortened season, but you know, what can you take away from a coaching standpoint? What have you learned already that maybe was different from where you came from?
Yeah, no, I think specifically with this team, like it's been so much fun because they're a really tight knit group. And so for me, I think it's one of those things, one of them just tried to come in my office. They're really good kids. But I think that's been really fun, is just to get to, even like for me going into this fall, I'm getting this like almost like prep season going into a fall where we're going to have conference and playoffs and things like that. And so as a new coach, it's really just a blessing to be able to have anything in this fall and things like that. So I would say that's probably the main takeaway for me is just I've been really, really lucky to have this opportunity to train with them as much as we have and do the things Corbin talked about, and still new styles and culture and things like that. And they already had some great culture and stuff. And so just making it more my own and get the opportunity. So when we get back for the fall, they're more ready to go and we don't have to have this like buffer learning period about each other.
Corbin, I guess I would ask a similar question for you is, how much will having a spring season now maybe help you out going into the fall? Because, now you're able to actually see them in game action. You'll know what works, what doesn't work. And I realize other teams are sort of in the same boat, but just as being a coach from a coaching perspective, how much of an advantage is that for you?
I think it's a huge advantage for us, to be honest. With the current situation where our team, we have 5 or 6 freshmen that are starting and 2 or 3 sophomores. Our starting lineup is very young, and to be able to play them in games that count but don't is a huge teaching tool and a huge learning experience for them. We would have demanded a lot from them in the fall had we had a normal season, but now they get 8 games under their belt. They kind of have expectations of what our conference looks like, and they'll be more prepared to step into those significant roles this coming fall. We'll get some non-conference games early, but they will have already played 8 conference games and have an advantage that they wouldn't have had in a normal year.
Nick, what I find interesting this year, and as Corbin had mentioned, it's such condensed year. You have 8 games. We've only got to see you play once, and now you're on the road forever. And then you come back for 1 game, and we get to see you again, and then you're done. It's been a weird schedule for you this year.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're better on the road, so we might never come home. We're 0-1 at home in my career and 2-0 on the road, so we might not come home anymore. So we're just gonna. I love Okravovich, and it's a lot of fun to practice there, but games haven't been great. I need a bigger sample size, I guess, at home to make it feel better. But yeah, no, I mean, to be brutally honest, so I think it is like everyone loves playing at home, and we are so excited for senior day against Gustavus. But I think for our players, it feels more real again that we're on buses, we're grabbing food on the road. It makes you feel like a college athlete again. And so I think that's been a huge positive for us. Is just, I think that it almost might be an advantage for the road team because you feel like you're ready to go because you're doing all the stuff that you always normally do in a regular year, in terms of the buses, the pack outs, the different things like that. Like it feels very real. And so I think that's been a big positive for us is it's starting to make us feel like, okay, like when we get to the fall, things are going to be normal again and we're going to be able to have a good go at things.
And Corbin, you had mentioned that you feel like early on here you've had some mixed results in terms of final outcomes. What have you been pleased with thus far this year? And then flip it around the other way. What are some of the things you need to shore up a little bit?
I think some of the things we want to shore up or work on is our consistency. We had a great performance at Augsburg last weekend or 2 weekends ago, and our energy or effort in the first half this past Sunday wasn't the best. And I think if we would have played with the same effort that we did 2 weeks ago, we would have had a better chance at Sunday. So we need to be more consistent in our work ethic, which is something we've addressed as a team. What I like so far is our style is growing and becoming more of what we want to see in our team. So we're more organized defensively. We have more of a spark going forward. We've got to fix some little details, but the brand of soccer, which is something we talk about our guys on a consistent basis, looks like more of what we want to do.
And Nick, let's flip it to you. Same question. Now, what do you like so far, and what are some of the things that maybe you still need to work on?
Yeah, no, I mean, we have really good soccer players here. I mean, I think in terms of talent, we have a team that can compete with anyone. I think the things that I've really liked so far is I feel like we've found like a way to translate what we're doing in practice of the games. And we're playing a brand new style, like in terms of they were a 3-5-2 last year. We're in a 4-3-3. They tended to drop off out of possession last year. I like to press out of possession. And you even saw against St. Thomas, even against teams that are really strong, and we try to make it difficult for them in that way. It didn't end up working out in the last 11 minutes, but that's a different conversation for a different day. But it was, I think those are the things I really like is they're taking this and they're there's not pushback. They're like, okay, we're going to do this. We're trying to make these changes and let's go at it full go. I think some of the things that we need to work on is I need to find a better way to say this, but we need to like get more of like a chip on our shoulder. I call it kind of the A word thing. Like we need to have a bit more of that in us sometimes. And that it takes time because we have a really good, nice team. And sometimes I feel like we need to get after each other more. They talk about family all the time. And I think that that's such a great thing, but we also fight with our brothers and sisters and we fight with our mom and our dad, and it's okay because you still love each other. And so I think that we need to find a little bit more of that at times. And the other thing that I would say, like, we need to work on is we were up against Augsburg for the first time in I don't know how many years. And that last 15 minutes, we seemed kind of panicky because we hadn't been up on a team like that in a really, really long time. And so I told the girls after the game, I was really happy with how we played, but this hopefully isn't the last time we're winning against a team that we haven't been winning against in a while. And we need to keep our composure and finish games out a little bit better. And so I would say that like definitely some mixed results for sure.
You know, Corbin, and I'm going to go to Nick too, because it's really the same question, but you've got a young goalkeeper, that's seeing all the action. How big of a challenge is that, not only for you as a coach, but for that individual too? And that, Daniel Sessler has played every game and has come in as a freshman. That's not an easy position to be thrust in as a young keeper.
To be honest, we are pleasantly surprised with Daniel's performance so far, but we knew what we were getting. Our biggest goal in this recruiting class was a goalkeeper that could come in and right away take over the starting role, and Daniel stepped into that right away. So I'm pleasantly surprised, but I'm not surprised the big saves he's made. He's impressed other coaches. I think realistically, if we were doing awards right now, he'd be the best goalkeeper in our conference, arguably, and he has some room to grow from his communication a little bit. And not being a shy freshman, but he does talk to our guys, but now it's more about, can he be specific and kind of narrate the game for us from the back, which is tough as a freshman goalkeeper. But from an all-around technical, big saves, he's kept us in a lot of games, and I'm extremely grateful for what he brings to the team.
And Nick, obviously Alexis did play a little bit last year, but, she's thrust into that. She is your go-to keeper right now. And again, that's got to be a difficult position to have a young person in.
Yeah, I was actually telling Corbin about this the other day. Like she's doing, literally this morning, she's doing so great. What we have to figure out is we don't give up a lot of shots. And for whatever reason, and it's none of them are her fault. They're all like super high quality chances, but like her save percentage is like super low because I feel like we don't give up a lot of shots. We give up like chances that are like really, really good. And so we need to find ways to protect her a little bit better because she's been awesome. Her distribution's been great. There's really not any negative things to say about her. It's just so like very similar to Corbin. I think she's getting more comfortable using her voice and directing the defense and things like that. And that might prevent some of those high quality chances. But yeah, like I think we've given up like 9 shots on goal and 5 of them have been goals somehow. It's like a crazy sequence for the spring so far. But she's been, it was really nice for her to get not only her first college win, but first college shutout. And now she's 2-1 for her career. And like, I feel like just for her, that confidence going into the next 4 games will be really good. She's been doing awesome for us.
And then how about offensively? Who are some players that have stood out for both of you? And Corbin, we can start with you. And I know when we do this, we risk singling some out and excluding others, and I don't want to do that. But who are some either pleasant surprises and or players that you figured you could count on and they're coming through?
Yeah, I think, again, we can start with a no-brainer to not single people out. Eli Schmanski continues to carry our team offensively. He's our leading goal scorer. Again, an all-conference player last year, and he's really put the teams on his shoulders in more ways than one this season, leading us offensively, playing a bit of a different role, playing 2 different positions that he doesn't typically play for us. We talk about offense a little bit, but our forward, Wally Barros, has put in a lot of defensive effort. We press a lot from the front, and maybe he's not scoring a ton of goals, but his work ethic up there has helped us a lot. And the rest of the guys, they're all young guns, and they've got to learn how to play against men, if you will. But I think Kyle Palmberg, Chiram Palislamovich are 2 young guys that are going to grow into our conference and be more of an attacking threat. And the biggest pleasant surprise for me is Diego Rivera. Didn't play a lot as a freshman and has stepped up tremendously this year and put himself in a really good position offensively for the team so far.
Nick, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, we've actually, like, the way I like to sub, we tend to use two different forward lines. And so what we've been doing is like Cassie Arriaga, who's been one of the best players for the team over the last few years, has actually been coming off the bench for us, and not because she's not a deserving starter, because I like, especially in the first half, bringing on a second group that's just as strong as the first group. And so the starting group that we've been having over the last few games has been Jordan Matthews, who got a big overtime goal, and obviously was leading scorer on the team last year. It's good to get her off and running. And then Jen Capaccio, and then Hattie Falkman, who we've switched to a forward, that's kind of our first line of forwards that we've been using. And then we've been bringing on Cass, Emily Schaefer, who had her first 2 college points, had 2 big assists on Saturday to help us win. And then we've been alternating people through that left winger role. Kaylee Manglitz had a great game this past weekend, probably going to start getting more reps there. We've been using her as a left back, but she's just so dangerous that we're probably going to have to switch her to forward. But I mean, we've had 3 goals, 3 different goals, 3 goals, 3 different goal scorers. And so it's one of those things where I'd love to pinpoint a specific person, but I think within the system I like to play, it tends to you don't end up having a one person that does a lot just because of the way we sub. It's kind of hard, but it hopefully yields results, and we'll find out if it actually yields results once we get going a little bit more.
Corbin, one of the people that you've got on your team that doesn't score a lot of points, but I tell you, when you're 5'0" and you dominate the way Mateo does in the middle, I mean, it's incredible what he does for his, I mean, and I'm not belittling him for his size, but he's probably the smallest guy on the field, and yet he makes the most noise with his play. Can you just talk a little bit about how he does that?
I think he makes up for it in other ways, and he's passionate about the game. He's a student of the game. He understands our style. Was my first recruit that I signed 5 years ago, and so he's just been a linchpin for us, and has a lot of passion for St. Mary's and St. Mary's men's soccer. And so he makes up for lack of athleticism there, maybe lack of height, because he can get up, he can win headers, which is awesome to see. And I think more of his heart, his passion, or kind of those intangibles is what makes him such a dominant force on the team.
And Corbin, I think Mateo plays with kind of what Nick was talking about and is looking for, and that is that chip on his shoulder, right? He's pretty much played with that since he's gotten here, and it's clearly paid off for him.
Yeah, I mean, aside for the few games he missed due to injury his sophomore year, he's played the most for us and understood right away as a freshman my expectations of him, and didn't shy away, lived up to that, wanted to be that linchpin in midfield and relish that challenge, and does play with a chip on his shoulder. I definitely agree with that.
I think what's funny is the minute he steps on the field, I would want nothing to do with him. But as soon as he steps off of the field, he's the nicest guy around. I mean, he is just, he's an amazing person, but you're right, on the field, I wouldn't want anything to do with him.
Yeah.
Nick, talk a little bit about the end of the season here. And you mentioned you're excited for senior day. You have several seniors that will get to honor. And Corbin, you've got a couple too, but talk a little bit about as we wind down here and what you're looking for in the last 4 games of the year.
Yeah, I think the number one thing is the big phrase that we've been using a lot this year is we're going to figure out what type of team we are. And so that was going into last weekend, coming off of a good result, where we kept saying all week, we're going to learn what team we are. Are we going to be able to be happy with that result and not take a next step? Or are we going to take that next step? And we didn't play particularly well on Saturday, to be honest, but we ended up doing well enough to get a result. And that's going to be, I think, the big message for these next 4 games is we've done pretty well in conference to start, but what does that mean to us? Does that mean that we're happy with this? Or are we going to actually go and continue to attack teams and try to get better and learn and really just finish the season well? Because the number one thing that we kept saying about this season is we want to send our seniors off, 4 really deserving seniors, in the best way possible. And in order to do that, we need to give them excitement and success and things like that. And so for us, I think that's what I'm most looking forward to for the end of the season, because we're going to really learn what type of team we are. If we're a team that's happy with what we've done and is just going to kind of coast in these last 4 games, or are we going to be a team that's pretty hungry and continue to grow from these games and really attack the next 4 teams that we play?
And Corbin, same question to you.
Yeah, similar to Nick, our staff or myself had a phrase that we were looking for is how would our team respond to adversity? And I think Sunday is a great test of that. We didn't perform at the way we wanted. We weren't expecting to lose that game, and that's just the beauty of soccer in its own way. But how we respond to adversity is going to show us what kind of team we are. And with the last 3 games, a double with Johns and then Gustavus, those are two strong opponents, 3 games that I really want to see how we bounce back from a defeat, and how we grind out this double with Johns will be a good example of how does this team respond when things don't go our way. It'll be exciting. Johns is a team that made the playoffs last year, and for us to have a realistic hope of making the playoffs in the future, we have to beat those top 6 teams, and to play them twice is a great test. And then headed into the last day, we'll be able to send off Mateo and Cole, hopefully in the best way possible. And that was part of my first recruiting class, and it'd be great to see them leave with their head over their shoulders.
All right, I'm going to ask one more question, and it's a pretty simple one, but I'm not sure the answer will be too simple. Spring weather or fall weather?
Yeah.
Do you have a preference?
I haven't
Nick,
been in
let's
Minnesota
start
in the fall. I haven't been in Minnesota in the fall in a while, so I couldn't really speak to it. But as of right now, I'm gonna pick fall because we've been like, it was freaking beautiful for Corbin's game on Sunday, like 65 degrees, amazing, and we got snow yesterday. So I would say that I'm gonna guess the fall just in hope that it's better than it is right now, going from 60 to snow in the span of a day.
Well, Corbin, why don't you help Nick out? What do you think? Is fall better, or do you like spring better for weather?
Speaking of Minnesota, and having lived here 5 years, still not used to winter and this late spring, I'm going to have to say fall. That it's still cold today, having grown up where I was, born where I was, that it's still 40 degrees today and 30 yesterday. I'm going to have to go with fall weather.
I would go with the spring, but I'm not in that question. This has been a terrible spring for the temperature, because I thought when they rescheduled this, I really did think that, this is going to be great. We don't have any of those November games, and yet we really have had some pretty cold days. So, okay, now Corbin, you have to answer this question. You have to state your case for this last question. I know you're the silent assassin, but you have to do this. Okay, Dean, you're the judge. Okay. Nick and Corbin have to state their case for who was the better player, Corbin Bowers or Nick Rizzo. Nick, I'll let you go first as the new guy.
I mean, honestly, like I want to vote for Corbin. Like I have to fight for myself.
I think my decision is easy.
Corbin played at a very high Division II level. I don't know if I feel confident in advocating for myself in this one. I will say, as a player, I think we were very different. I think we would have complemented each other very well. Corbin was more of a target type forward, if I remember correctly, Corbin, and I was in the center midfield. So I feel like I would have been able to play balls into him, run off him, and he could have helped me score a few more goals, and I could have hopefully helped him score a few more goals.
I guess the point of this is these are two studs when they played collegiate soccer, and both teams are extremely lucky to have you guys as leaders, because I've got to imagine that having played at the levels that you guys played at, it's got to benefit you as a coach, does it not?
Oh yeah, I make my players all the time in practice. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, maybe we should set up a little one-on-one this summer.
So we can do that.
We'll see who's better conditioned that way too.
Yeah.
I think I got that one. Corbin would beat me in weightlifting, but I definitely feel like I've got the better conditioning.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Nick, you're still doing your triathlons?
Not as much, but I run like 5-6 miles a day.
Yeah.
I run 0 miles a day, so I beat there. No, I agree with Nick. We'd complement each other well. He would probably all-around better soccer player. I'd probably score more goals than him, but that's just the nature of our positions. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for the Cardinals Nest. Corbin Bowers, head coach for the men's soccer team, and Nick Rizzo, head coach for our women's team. Thanks for joining us, and good luck as you wind down the spring season and look forward to fall.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for watching the Cardinals Nest.